welcome to another Adobe Audition tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you a very simple effect that would be very useful to those that are doing podcasts as their projects. This basically helps you kind of clean up everything to do with the podcast in regards to the audio. So to start off, basically input the file that you're looking to sort of edit with the effect. Then make sure you go up onto the effects tab up here. Go down to amplitude and compression. Then come along and click on Dynamics, and then you'll see it'll bring up this box here. Leave the preset as custom. First thing we're going to focus on is the auto gate. So what would you, if you want to activate the sort of effects of this particular column, you need to tick the box up here. Then you need to look at sort of like the threshold. So at the moment it's currently set to 0 dBs, but sort of realistically you're looking at sort of like a between like -18 and -20. On a lot of projects, but again, depending on how quiet your original audio is, that could affect how sort of bad you need the threshold to be. So, like for me, for example, it could be 18, but then on another project, it could be only like 10, maybe 5 minus in dBs. So just keep that in mind. And then when I play the audio with them attached, you should see up here these three boxes. This box will glow red, this one will be orange, and then this one will be green. So what we're trying to aim for is for it to be green and yellow without it kind of bouncing off the red. So let's see how it goes. Also, when you're doing this, make sure you put it into waveform as well so you can just see it better. Right, so step the auto gate, -18 dB. Right, let's see how this sounds with auto gate enabled.
Or there's a very problematic person, for example, like Tony and Trisha.
So can you see there, it's like constantly bouncing around and it kind of cuts out what she's saying. So at that point, if it's too much, maybe I would say then go to a lesser number.
An influencer or a high-up person.
So what this sort of effect, what the auto gate kind of tries to do is it tries to take out all these little gaps here that you can see where there's little to no noise. What it tries to do is absolutely reduces them to nothing, so it should be absolute silence. So again, when you are messing around with this, you need to kind of be tinkering with looking at your dB levels on your audio and seeing where would it be most effective, or else you'll, like you said, you'll be seeing yourself cutting some of your lines and dialogue out, which is not what we want. So you see that having it at -5, it has little to no effect. So if I bump it up to maybe 25.
Say they did some very questionable actions, or there's a very problematic person. For example, like Tony.
So if you when I have it at -25 dBs, can you see how much more cleaner the audio already sounds, where it's trying to rip out the sort of pauses and the breathing of the person talking?
For example, like Tony and Trisha, as we will get into later.
See. So that's what AutoGate can do. So when it comes to the threshold, like I said, it can vary, so just keep that in mind. With all the other settings, so you want attack to be set to 1 ms, and then with the release, again you're looking at 100, and then with the hold you also want that as 100. You want that as 1, not 100. Then the next one we're going to move on to is the compensator, which is this one here. Oh, sorry, the compressor. So again, simply tick the box to activate it. Again, when you're looking at the threshold, because I know now roughly 25 is a good number, I'm just going to put 25 in. But again, it can vary depending on the audio levels you currently have. With the ratio, it's currently set at 6.5. Let's hear what that sounds like with it set to 6.5.
Influencer or a very high-up person in the social media industry.
So you can hear there it kind of sounds a little bit too compressed. So I'm going to take the 6.5 ratio and I'm going to put that down to 2. And then the attack, again, needs to be 1. And then the release, you're looking at about 50. So let's hear that again.
And if, say, they did some very questionable actions or there's a very problematic person,
so as you can hear there, with the compressor, it really does take away all them little crackles, little noises, the breathing of like the individual, and it does just make the audio quality and sort of the production overall just sound a way better quality. And at the bottom you can see there's a makeup tab as well here. That's currently set at 0 dB, but again with this one it kind of depends on what you're trying to go for. But if you are going to add the makeup onto it, I would say look at between 3 and 5 dBs at most. So let me just put 5 in on the makeup, and we'll play the audio again.
For example, like Tony and Trisha, as we will get into later, a like influencer or a very high up person in the social media industry.
So again, you can hear how all the auto gate and the compressor are really working together now to like really shrink down the waves to make it sound really clean, really compact, very nice for like the audience to listen to. And then the final one is the expander, which is on the far right over here. If I can give you any sort of advice in regards to when you're messing around with the dynamics, don't have auto gate and the expander both on at the same time, because they don't help each other necessarily. So again, it's either stick with auto gate and the compressor, or go for the expander and the compressor, but never use them, never have them active at the same time. So when it comes to the expander, I'm going to just disable auto gate and then activate expander. Basically, what you're looking for in here is you're just looking at the ratio. The ratio is currently set at 1.5. Put that up to 5. And then again, with the threshold, it depends again on what the levels are sort of saying in regards to the audio that you have on the timeline. So as you can see, my past 2 ones, I've got it at -25 and it sounds perfect. So again, there's no need for me to change that. So I'll put it on -25 again. Now I'm going to apply, I'm going to hear the audio back, so let's see how it sounds.
And if, say, they did some very questionable actions or there's a very problematic person, for example, like Tony and Trisha, as we will get into later,
So when it comes to that, you can kind of hear where the expander's doing its work, but a lot of the time, to the sort of untrained ear, I guess, you won't necessarily notice the difference unless you were wearing headphones and had the volume on like max. But when it actually comes to you doing this to your project, applying these effects with the expander, the compressor, and the auto gate, you will notice the difference from when you don't have these on compared to when you have them off, because you'll notice just that quality does drop just slightly when you don't have any of these on to sort of clean up your audio. But again, it's such an easy and simple effect to play around with your podcasts, especially in post-production when you need to clean up some of the audio. So again, I hope that this effect comes really in handy, and I hope that you will use it to the best of your abilities. And again, thank you for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you on another tutorial.